자, 첫 번째 북미 예선 첫 번째 패자부활전
I saw you earlier this
하얀
morning.
선수입니다.
I did indeed
22단이고요.
see you as well there. You know, thank you for
싱킹
waking me up
10대
and getting ready to be here on time.
I'll always
첫
wake
번째
you up
경기가
before you go.
시작돼 있습니다.
So right here into
어제
the
많이
upper here right
보셨겠지만
away. We're
예선이나
gonna see. So they actually did opt to run with the healer and the tank combo. We see Tettles
북미
here on
팀은
the
신기보다는
Resto
헤드를
Druid
더
immediately
선호하더라고요.
stealthing through, skipping these
보니까.
first two spirits,
거의
and we're
대부분이
gonna have that
80%
control and
이상이
dead on the spirit at the top.
80%
Stupid
정도가
Mistakes doing a
헤드고
very similar strategy. Now I managed to
신기에
talk to
있던
Sense earlier. He's a
팀은 거의
Pro Warrior
가지고
player by heart, and
헤드는
he said we're playing Pro Warrior today for sure. And fortunately, I received a DM from him this morning
자,
saying
양
they
팀
won't
보시면
let me. So we're back to the blood
왜 지금
decade
싱킹
on both
10팀은
teams,
사람이 한 명이
unfortunately, today.
없는데?
Unfortunately, they wouldn't let him. I thought he was being in charge.
Well,
Maybe setting the tone.
somebody's usurping the throne here.
한 명이 없는데 지금?
Not what you want to be seeing. And both teams, of course, pulling the constructs here. They have to be watching, of course, for all the
진짜
swirlies that the
버그겠죠?
constructs will be forming on the ground here.
버그겠지. 한 명이
Also
없는데?
important if you drag it, of course, to the side of the stairs, you'll be able to
네,
stand
지금 한
right
명이
underneath the
없어.
stairs, still be able to hit the constructs
하나, 둘,
here,
셋, 네 명이 지금.
and be safe, of course, from a lot of the extra swirlies on the ground. Very important to be able to dodge those, especially when
싸웠나?
the golems do enrage here.
And you know, Sinking Ship
서로
only
싸웠나?
getting those two mobs down a couple seconds after their competition, but this is really where it's going to start to add
엎드려
up.
뜨네요.
A
4대
couple
5라고
seconds on
나오네.
this trash pack, a few seconds on the boss, and this is where you're really going to start to see the suffering of the four-man composition. They're doing the best they can as they pull this trash around the corner, getting it over to that
뭐
nullifier, wanting to take
사정이
advantage
있겠죠.
of that
지금
nullification
봐도
debuff
채팅창이
on
봐도
the
네
players.
Yeah,
명으로
Alexia
네
Tettles
명이라고
was
나오네.
actually just tanking
4대
the
5라고
nullifier
돼
there as Idol was just picking up the rest of the trash here.
왜
That way
그러지?
you're actually able to have people dip in and out to be able to dish
내부
out the
갈등이
damage, of
있었나?
course, to those contracts while still line of sighting the arcane barrage attacks that are going on
반면에
here. So I really like being able to see that where Tettles is actually able to have that little bit of flexibility because the nullifier doesn't deal that much damage, but it definitely can be an inconvenience here. But you are seeing Stupid Mistakes actually having
Stupid Mistakes having some stupid mistakes quite early on in the competition. Sense is still alive, opting to kind of finish everything off. The mobs are low enough that they don't want a full reset, but they're not releasing at this point because they did have the skip with the stealth at the beginning of the dungeon past those two spirits. So it's going to be a bit before he's able to finish that nullifier off alone. Sinking Ship actually looking in a really prime position right now to take every possible advantage they can in this situation. And I really like what you're saying as well. Tettles off tanking the nullifier really doesn't do much damage, not very dangerous for the tank. And honestly, even in this raging scenario, it does solo damage that you can pretty safely tank at 30% below. Sinking Ship now moving on to Curator and starting to pull, four-manning this boss. We do know that we have the 1 minute regular phase here where the players will need to move together from static shock on the ground and also kind of bait that little ad on top of them. After that minute, we will enter the evocation phase where Curator will take 100% increase damage for 20 seconds.
개인 사정이 있겠죠. 대회는 시청했고 해야 되는데 한 명이 사정이 생겼겠죠.
Nature legendary to be able to increase, a lot of his moonfire damage there. And at that point, when they are kind of relying on that off tanking, when he is specking the Guardian Affinity, making sure that he's able to get those little extra tools to be able to provide that off tanking, it does definitely go a long way in making things easier here. But at this point, he always has to be able to kind of shift, dealing a little bit more damage. Krenix, of course, you're seeing the cheat death going out on him. But at this point, when they're a full
4명이랑
DPS
5명이랑
down, it'll be tough
차원이
to deal with
다르죠.
Curator when so
딜한
much of
양이
the damage to be dealt into
지금
this boss is going to be the
많이
evocation
많아요.
phase.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough job for Tettles because he really needs to ride that fine line of do I go more offensive or defensive, trusting his teammates to stay alive, getting that
근데 역시 외국에서는
kind of
채팅창에 이런
support
말이
from the
나옵니다.
consumption on the
영국에서는
blood DK. We've already seen that safety net for the
왜
road fall. We
아레나보다
do
이런
know
게임
that
아레나가 더
blockers are prone to
아레나를
a bit of
더
extra damage
치는
sometimes
거야.
and dying
아레나보다
off. Here's the
재미없는데 이걸
evocation
왜
phase. We're going to need to get as much damage out as possible.
들어왔어요. 한
They
명,
pop their
아니 네
bloodlust
명이라.
and they're just pumping as much as they can in
왜
this
이
100% damage
재미없는
taken
방송
20
아레나가 더
second phase.
재밌는데 왜
Stupid
이걸
Mistakes has also
뭐
pulled
대회를
Curator
하냐
not
이렇게
far
얘기해요.
behind. They'll be entering their phase soon as well. So pretty neck and neck between these two teams now, but I expect if Stupid Mistakes makes no further stupid mistakes, they will start to slightly pull ahead, of course, with that extra DPS. It's just natural. It's numbers, Jack. It's numbers.
Yeah, definitely a numbers game here as Stupid
지금
Mistakes
다섯 번째 사람은 아직
and they're about to enter the evocation
나타나지
phase. So we saw around
않았지만
50% HP
잠재적으로
on the Curator
나타날
as
확률이
the
있다.
sinking ships
얘기하는데
left evocate. So it'll be interesting to see how great of a difference we're going to be seeing there as Stupid Mistakes is quickly approaching the 50%
대회
mark.
전에 안 들어온 거 보면은 이유가 있겠죠. 아니면 원래 이게 경기장이 아니라 그냥 오프라인에서 자기네들이 직접 접속을 하는 거라 가지고 개인적인 사정이 있을 수가 있어요. 개인 사정이 있을 수가 있어요. 그거는
just
뭐
before it happens, but Sinking Shift definitely is going to be able to need that.
Yeah, I mean, the really close will actually be for a Sinking Ship because I'm more worried about them being able to finish the Curator off within that second burn phase without the Bloodless and not getting too much damage. Do we see the deaths going on off on Krennic? Phoenix and Greg, they opt to use that battle res on their Windwalker right away. Not sure definitely now that they'll be having enough damage to get through that second evocate phase.
싱킹십 같은 경우는 거기서 힐러랑 딜러가 또 죽었어요. 이거 진짜 이미 예선 진짜 요지경이네. 진짜 요지경.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to be able to deal with a lot of these volatile energies here. And like
아니
you mentioned,
내면서 그냥
there's such a
포기하면 안
fine
되는
line
거야.
between being able to actually have enough
포기를 하면 안
damage to
되는가
kill those
봐요.
volatile energies while spending a lot of your time as a healer
참
being able to keep
답답하네요.
people topped off from the damage that those volatile energies
그럼
can
이유가
deal
정확한
from
이유는
just a
뭐겠어요?
single
제가
target, and from the, of course, the jumps that they do, just jumping on top of the entire group and splashing them with a
그냥 취소하라
huge
그러는데.
amount of damage. So at that point, it's just a hard, fine line to be able to ride. Dishing out that damage and also being able to keep people topped off. So
4명을 하면요 나중에 메디브 갔을 때 차단하기 더 어려워요.
really just sitting low.
차단할 수 있는 크리스타
consistency
3명밖에
with healing to
없잖아.
be able to get them topped off quickly and stupid mistakes.
실러 같이
taking
뭐
down Curator
드루 헤드
and
같은 경우에
Nature.
차단이 아예
I
안
mean,
돼.
a rather lackluster situation, moving at 80% strength for the entire team for sinking ship. Stupid mistakes does move past Curator, as you alluded to, moving
어제
down
싱킹십
the
팀이
ramp.
그렇게
Now, we saw a
못했는 건
couple
아닌
teams
것
yesterday
같은데
pull this
어제
Felmage
뭐
and some of
스토피
the bats with an
미스테이크
AoE grip. As
팀이
we're seeing
진짜 말
Sense here
그대로
actually grab
스토피까지
2 of those bats down, start
진짜
DPSing, then
스토피까지
getting that extra
기가지고
percent in,
어제
and they'll be moving in past that Blade Lord. Wouldn't be
솔직히
shocked for from the AXA to see that Repentance come up,
진짜
making sure
못하는
that
팀
you can skip,
중에
or the sap,
한
of
명이
course,
한
from the rogue,
팀이었는데
getting right past that demon and getting 2 Shade of Medivh as quickly as possible. Just a huge amount of time lost to spend with this one mob.
Yeah, at this point, you're just seeing, of course, Nanor just running ahead, getting the sap off on the Stupid Mistakes' Blade Lord there. As, of course, Sinking Ship is still, working on repulling Curator. And again, they're not going to have Bloodlust available to them, so it's going to be even harder for them. They might even have to go with maybe 3 Evocate phases or something like that, but there will be that burst near the end of it that could just deal a ton of damage to everybody.
Get to 3.
I think it might just actually one-shot you if you
I
go
think
to the third
eventually
one.
it just kind of enrages and one-shots you.
Yeah.
Stupid Mistakes now primed to pull Shade of Medivh here. Players have to watch out for
아직까지 잡고
interrupting
있죠.
that
예.
frostbite cast as it
그다음에
will
스토피
encase players
미스테이크 팀 같은
in
경우
a
이미 벌써
huge
이제
block
메디브를
of
시작을
ice.
했고요.
Basically
22단
making them useless for the
폭군입니다.
rest of the encounter. The only way to break them out is to get one of the Inferno
폭군
blasts
분노
down on them, which adds a pretty hefty
폭탄인가?
dot to the players, especially in this tyrannical setting. The last thing, of course, are these piercing missiles that you see Sense just kind of eat to the face.
그
Tanks can't
반면에
deal with it, but
싱킹
if
시스템
the
같은
full
거
channel
4명이서
goes out on you, you do get a debuff that increases the
4명이서
damage
해야 돼요.
of them
하고
next time by
있어요.
maybe 25 or 50%, something like that.
딜이
I think
바뀌나
you get out of hand
저래가지고.
pretty quickly. Jack, we do know the first phase
아
that we're going
메디브가
to see is
걱정이네요.
that
예.
Guardian
메디브가
phase with the 3
걱정입니다.
Ravens on the side. A lot of healing needed for that.
폭군이라서 지금
There's a lot of healing
딜러
needed
하나
for it,
있고
but less
차이가
so
어마어마하게
when you're going to be in that tyrannical
차라리
setting here because,
실러가 실을 안 하고 아예 딜을
fortified.
하는 게
So
낫지.
a lot of the
차라리
focus
딜러라면.
is definitely going to be on how well the team
근데
is going to be able to do with
지금
the
다른 팀
flame
같은 경우
rate
지금
damage.
유럽
That's
팀 같은
usually
경우
where you're
상층에서는
going to see some kind of
아예
variance at times
실러
between
없이도 하는
paladins running
팀이
Beacon
몇
of
개
Virtue,
있었거든.
Beacon of Faith, depending on
아예
what they
실러
need here.
없이
The damage
무조건
usually shouldn't get too
지금
high
계속
here,
죽어요.
depending on how
실러가
well they're
실이 안
taking
되고
down the Guardian images. They are kind of splitting their
전도하고
focus a lot here, where
죽을
Pieces is
죽진
putting most of
않거든요.
his focus on just
절부가
one ad at a time.
죽질
They're kind of
않는데
taking 2
지금은
down at once here. So there was a lot of damage
실이
being
안
put
되고
onto the
있어요,
group
실.
here, which is very beneficial to be able to have a stronger Beacon of Virtue healing.
또
But at the same
전멸했죠.
time, you do have to be splitting all
솔직히
all your
말씀드리면
damage up and
스토피팀도
taking
못하는
increased stacks
잘하는
there.
팀이
Another
아니에요.
wipe coming out of Sinking Ship, unfortunately
진짜 이거는
capsizing on
사람들
the left
보는
side of the
사람들이
screen.
민망할
They're going to have to run back to the boss and you're ready again. Stupid Mistakes moving well out of that phase and getting ready for the Flame Wreath phase
이렇게가
coming
대회에
up.
나온다는 거
Of course,
진짜
no surprise, we did see that consumption come out of Sense during the Raven phase to help with a lot of that leech
개인
support for the
사장이
healer. The
실러
Axe does go
죽었습니다.
down here. They don't have the
실러
battle res
죽었어요.
available, so they're going to be
스토피팀
down a
실러
healer.
죽었어요.
Nanor takes that to the face.
이러면 큰일
Cloak of
납니다.
Shadows off
이러면
immediately and Shadow steps back to the boss
매드비브에서는
to get rid of that dot as
무조건
quickly as possible.
아니고는
But another cast
실러
coming in, and they're going to have to start considering
힘들어요.
interrupting some of these
화염골이
Inferno
나올
blasts right now
건데
because there's just so much
화염골 때
residual damage on that team.
I just don't know how they're going to be able to survive this. Flame Wreath is going out. They're just not able to survive it, so there will be that full wipe coming in for Stupid Mistakes here. And even with Sinking Ship down that DPS, I mean, if they're able to actually get past Curator, they might be in a better position because Stupid Mistakes is just not able to kind of
I mean, Jack, we talked about this when we were getting
야, 이거
yesterday,
솔직히
that we have to get these teams,
역대급이다.
they have to get out of this
국민팀이
sloppy
실력이 너무 안
mindset because
좋아요.
it might be working for the
국민팀
lower
실력이
bracket
너무 안
in this part of the regional or some of the early matches too, but once they start facing off against a lot of the better teams, including the ones in other regions, it's going to cost them. And I mean, right now, Stupid Mistakes is kind of getting a free pass by virtue of the fact that Sinking Ship is having a 4-man roster, but they're not really performing up to snuff right now. 9 9 deaths on the board already. They're gonna need to pull Shade of Medivh again.
중국
That's a
예선전
huge
그렇게
time sink.
이겼어요.
Yeah, when you're having these two
호주
teams,
팀 1순위
not
그다음에
affecting how they're actually playing together,
유럽
it really
그리고
does show.
북미를 이렇게
You mentioned,
실력을
like you said,
붙더라고
where
사람들이.
Sinking Ship isn't really able to capitalize on stupid mistakes at this point, where they're not able to actually get down Medivh. They're taking that extra time here, and even just having one extra DPS would have just been able to seal it for
자,
Sinking
사람들
Ship here.
채팅창이 뭐라고 나오냐면 팀 이름이 적절하다. 팀 이름이 적절하다 그렇게 나와요.
Unfortunately, Bum Bum did not show up for
팀
Sinking
이름이
Ship, and it's
적절하다.
causing
진짜
quite the
스튜피
ruckus on them as they're
미스테이크라.
pulling Curator for the third time. Shade Medivh now down to
진짜
66%.
팀명을
We'll be
그대로
entering that
나에게
Guardian phase soon with the 3 Ravens coming up. Afterwards, the players will fly into action, going to either one of the 3. We have seen them kind of split their damage last time. Sense went to 1, pop that consumption early. We're once again seeing that split damage. We have the tank on 1, the rogue on another, and we have the Windwalker on a 3rd, as Pieces is also focusing damage on the same one as Nanor, trying to get at least one of them or 2 of them down quickly before moving on to the 3rd, which is the one that we see with the DK in the bottom left of the screen.
Yeah, but at this point, because there is that split damage here,
자, 채팅창에 이게 직역을 하자면 뭐라 나오냐면 NA가 이제 NA는 이제 리그가 실제로는 장난이 아닙니다. 그러니까 호주 팀의 코알라조차도 더 나은 쇼를 보여준다. 그러니까 동물보다 못한다 이 뜻이. 그러니까 호주의 이제 코알라보다 코알라가 더 재밌다는 뜻이. 코알라 쇼를 보는 게 더 재밌다는 뜻이. 그런 식으로 비유한 거거든요. 외국 애들은 이 외국 코드가 좀 달라요 우리보다.
Yeah, leaves you in a very vulnerable state. Not maybe the best call. They really should consider killing one of those guardians right away.
사람들의 IQ가 너무 안 좋다. 뭐 이런
because at this point they know probably that they're substantially ahead, and that Sinking Ship, even if they get through Curator, is going to have a substantial amount of trouble with Shade of Medivh once they get there. Stupid Mistakes moving out now for that Inferno Blast. Doesn't manage to dodge it, unfortunately, with that Rider, but Flame Wreath does come out, 1 on the healer and 1 on the Windwalker. Unfortunately, no benefit there by having
하얀고리가 있는데 실러는 이제 빡기를 해야 되죠.
available, if I'm not mistaken, so they will have to just raw heal through that and make sure it doesn't pop. Actually, one of them's on the rogue. I thought it was on the healer. They're just both in the same ring. Yeah, to make sure not to move over that line.
터져요. 터지면 그냥 게임 끝이에요. 하얀고리 터졌죠. 하얀고리 터진 게 그냥 끝날 때쯤 죽은 것 같은데?
Just as he died there, it was so close to actually obliterating the entire party.
By a hair, Jack. By a hair. Please don't say anything. They do use the battle res immediately on Neve, the Windwalker, getting him up, trying to get as much damage as possible during this ceaseless winter phase where players will need to keep moving in order to keep their stacks low.
싱킹 팀은 저기서 못 벗어날 것 같아. 아니 싱킹 팀은 여기서 못 벗어날 것 같아. 메디브에서 어떻게 할 수 있는지 진짜 걱정입니다. 탱 연옥 터졌어요. 아마 탱 죽었어요. 탱 죽었어. 3%야 3%. 깨 죽여야지. 야야 여기서 언제까지 할 거야. 야 2%에 페이지 넘어갔어. 2%에 페이지 넘어갔어. 이거 못 넘겨요. 이거 못 넘겨. 이거 진짜 실러 뭐하니? 실러 실해. 보강 깔아버리네. 진짜 팀명 그대로다. 스티피 미스테이크 진짜 팀명 그대로야. 팀명 그대로네. 탱이 그 탱할 때 쓰는 스킬이 있어요. 메디브가 관통하게 관통가 정말 지금 탱크가 여러 개 터질 정도로 이게 그걸 탱크가 누군가 차단을 안 해주면 한 번 정도 한두 번은 괜찮은데 그걸 계속 맞출 수가 없어요. 그렇게 아프다. 지금 폭풍이잖아 거기다. 진짜 아파. 팀을 하다 보면 알아요. 느껴요. 진짜 아프다. 근데 지금은 그런 거보다 냉충을 더 먼저 차단을 해야 되기 때문에 냉충이 중요하니까 그거는 탱이 그냥 쉽든가 아니면 뭐 차단이 여유가 있을 때 그걸 하는 건데 차단 여유가 없어요.
So in many ways, it is just how they're preparing and how they're kind of going into this that is just making it so much harder for them.
야, 싱킹 팀은 드디어 잡았습니다. 아우야, 몇 팀 만에 잡았네. 한 3팀 만에 잡았죠. 지금 스티피 팀은 지금 3투째예요. 3투야 4투째야. 3투가 3투겠네요. 네, 3투째겠네요.
I do expect that they'll get the sap off as we see on that Blade Lord to move past it, similar to Stupid Mistakes doing that. Now, it's going to be, I mean, we're already seeing Stupid Mistakes have a really tough time on this boss. It's going to be astronomically harder for Sinking Ship to get all that damage and the proper interrupts. I mean, they're easily going to have to revisit 2 Guardian phases.
메디브에서 거의 진짜 메디브에서
once they get started on that boss.
네명이서 하긴 너무 어려워.
Looking against
22단
Stable here for the
폭군인데
start, 66% on
22단
Shadow Medivh, and
폭군인데
we're
이게
going to
안
be entering that
되지.
Guardian phase
아마
soon. We're
개인
gonna see if they
사장으로
adapt their
접속을
strategy, but
못하는
it looks
거죠.
like they're doing the same thing here, splitting
이건
up the
어쩔 수 없는
damage on the
거죠.
different
뭐
Guardians
그저
images and putting a
사장이
huge amount of
있겠지.
pressure on Liaxa, which, as you mentioned earlier, Jack, has popped Avenging Wrath yet again.
Yeah, and popping it a lot more proactively this time, maybe to be able to help out a little bit with the damage going after that. But again, if you're in that situation where you are splitting your or are focusing your damage much stronger, then you don't really have the need to be able to.
싱싱팀은 1렘 잡는데 14번과 13번씩
Avenging
파티
Wrath.
걸렸어.
You could instead just use, Tears
세 백을
Deliverance
세 백.
with Holy Avenger there. Have those paired up to be able to kind of deal with a lot of the AoE damage that will be going out on it, but it's much lighter to deal with there. So when you're putting more pressure on it, you're taking more time to be able to deal with them, and you're taking 3 bird stacks all at the exact same time going up so
싱싱팀이
rapidly.
이긴다면
Makes it
진짜
so much harder to
말도
deal
안
with.
되는
And like I
얘기지만
said, if you're not able to have wings, or you'll probably have Tears Deliverance and Holy Avenger here to be able to deal with.
이 경기 빨리 지나갔으면
of course,
좋겠다.
the flamers coming out,
또
but
못
it
보겠네요.
definitely feels a lot better when you're able to have all the resources available for the hardest part of the fight at Flame Wreath.
So here we see that first Guardian phase coming out for Sinking Ship. They're going to be slower to kill it off, and that damage is going to ramp up a lot higher on the team right now. Oh, they're actually killing 2 of them at the same time, but choosing to ignore one of them. Although, so pretty similar strategy coming out of them as well. Obviously, that third DPS, they'd probably be flexing it on the last Guardian image, but doing well to stay alive, although dipping quite low. Krenix does not have that cheat death available to them. 2 of the Guardians finally going down. Tettle's really low, barely hanging on right now. Does go down.
싱싱팀은 잘하고 있는데 이미 실력가 죽었죠. 저게 맞는 사람이 한 명이 적기 때문에 좀 되게 아파. 저거 몰라. 어차피 다 차단을 못해요. 무슨 맞아야 되는데 지금 실리어 2개씩 연달아 몇 개씩 허브를 맞으면 진짜 아파요. 문제는 뭐냐면 하얀굴이에요. 하얀굴이.
Like I said, they did focus down 2 of the birds at a time there, which is understandable. Like you said, you'd probably be having the warlock multi-dot everything.
그래도 이제 스투피 팀은 이제 그나마 3턴 만에 잡았어요. 15분 걸렸어. 14분 걸렸어. 아니 16분 걸렸어. 16분. 16분이 아니지. 저건 총합 시간이니까 10분 걸린 거죠.
Taking advantage of that new high mountain Tauren racial ability, so you're actually able to skip right past it very quickly. But it does look like they actually crossed the pass with the flame.
싱싱팀 눈 뜨고 못 보겠다. 싱싱팀 도저히 눈 뜨고 못 볼 것 같아요.
I think all of them were trying to pre-Agrimar's trinket.
Oh, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah, that was a common strategy we see. Everybody just kind of forcefully
제 생각에 여기서 무한 리셋을 할 것 같아요. 메디브에서 무한 리셋을 계속 할 것 같아요.
Unfortunately, did not work out for them. So another full wipe coming in on Sinking.
4명이서 폭군 22단 폭군 메디브를 잡는다는 건 정말
어려워요. So they will be coming back to Shadow Medivh. Stupid mistakes now.
폭군이 아닐 때 거기다 폭군인데 실러가요. 건디지 못해요. 실러가 정말 말씀드려서 실러가 건디기가 어려워요.
Books are for losers.
Stupid mistakes here is getting Bloodlust back as well as Sinking Ship here.
거기도 생각해 보세요. 마나 포식자
간다. Probably should be able to use Lust here on Mana Devour. Make sure it's going to be able to go down swiftly here. They do have a pretty solid rotation to be able to run through.
저렇게 해본 저렇게 전에 이제 세길 다니다가 갑자기 사람 한 명이 아씨 니네 꼴린다고 해서 그냥 뭐 안 한다 그러든가 아니면 갑자기 접속 종료를 해버려. 그러면 대부분 파티가 6종이 하죠. 근데 4명이서 할 수는 있어요. 4명이서 할 때도 몇 번 있어서 깨 있었어요. 저도. 근데 고단에서는 4명이서는 절대 불가능해요. 제가 고단에서는 2차라도 하자 그래서 사람들이 막내 남았을 때는 진짜 어떻게든 해보는데 저렇게 시작하자마자 4명이 시작하면 사람 누가 해요? 안 하지. 솔직히 말씀드리면 저도 저단에서는 4명이서 진짜 1년부터 트로피가 잡은 적도 있어요. 한 16단, 17단 정도까지 해도 중도에서는 잡을 적이 있는데 20단 넘어가는 데서 처음부터 시작하자마자 한 명이 오프를 타버렸어. 그럼 누가 합니까? 안녕히 계세요. 예, 다음에 봐요. 즐게 봐요. 주라면서 이렇게 하고 가버리지. 차라리 돌을 깨가지고 뭐 나서서 하는 게 낫지. 4명이서 그 고생을 왜 해? 지금 그걸 보고 계신 거예요. 야씨 누가 나갔어. 그래도 합시다. 우리 주차라도 합시다. 이런 식으로 얘기하는 건데 내가 뭐 1시간 넘게 걸립니다. 1시간 뭐야 좀 못 잡아야죠. 제 생각에는 메디브에서 진짜 몇 개를 할 거. 그리고 그 다음이 문제가 뭐냐면 마나 포식자예요.
It's very difficult to be able to have any of the DPS or even
솔직히
your healer to be able
말씀드려서
to take one of those
스투피 팀
stacks,
같은
and if they
경우에는
decide to clear it out a
지금
little
나온
later,
팀들
it can be so tough for them to be able to survive, you know, the huge damage from those
솔직히
wins. So
말씀드려서
very important to be able to
최약체입니다.
kind of go through your rotation here, clearing out stacks here. Alexa does grab one stack.
사람들 얼마나 그러면
You
진짜
probably
팀
will
영이랑
see,
똑같다고.
Alexa
팀
not
영이랑
on this next
똑같다고.
one, but maybe on one more if it does come out. Or probably be this last one where there'll be the AMS by Sense coming in underneath the boss, and then maybe Alexa will just pop Divine Shield and kind of collect anything else that might be nearby. Because at this point, there is that increasing amount of energy that the Mana Devourer gets.
자,
And
지금
even if you are
미국식 개그에서
soaking up
얘기를
a good portion of all the orbs coming out onto the boss,
미국까지 지금
it's still gonna
미국이잖아요.
be dangerous if you know some of the
그러니까
other
지금
ones are getting in
싱킹팀이
closer.
하면
See Alexa
다섯
doing a
번째
great job here,
선수는
popping
지금
the
스와트
Cavalier and actually
팀에
getting back
세금을
and soaking up a lot of
세금을
these.
세금을
All the pieces
납부를
here
안
are coming
해가지고
together
스와트
as the
팀에
main starts
스킬가
blinking around the side of the
다
screen, making sure to actually dodge some of the orbs. So I don't believe they used their ice block in the end. They were just kind of max DPSing. They have enough other tools that easily they can deal with. Mana Devourer now
자, 제가
at
말씀드렸죠.
2%.
메디브에서
We
저건
have
이제
seen that Bloodlust has been popped for
ECCM
ship on the left side of the screen.
네
In order to
명이서는
get
못
well
잡습니다.
past that
실러가
Guardian phase, which they
먹겠는데
did, but
우선
unfortunately to
실러가
no
먹겠.
avail as they do hit another wall with Shade Medivh at
그 반면에
54%,
스투픽
incurring
팀 같은
another
경우는
full
22단
team wipe.
폭군을
No
안전하게
Bloodlust available now
넘겼어요.
for
만화
8 minutes
피자를.
and 30 seconds for them as they will have to regather themselves and come back over. Mana Devourer done quite well
자,
by
싱킹팀 같은 경우 상대팀이
Stupid
제발
Mistakes here
빨리
on the
좀
right side of the screen,
하는
pulling all
방향이
these
있을
small,
겁니다.
now
제가
small Mana
생각을
Devourers as well, getting ready to
아마
babysit
대회
all those orbs, and
규정상
they'll be heading
포기를
over
하면
to
안
that
되는
chest
것
event
같아요.
soon. They
포기를
did
하게
have
되면
Bloodlust come up during that
위협금이라면
fight, opted
이거
to save it for
계약
Visitor.
위반 있는 게 있는가 봐요. 그래서 4명이라도 나온 거 제가 봤을 때. 저는 옛날에 그런 게 있었거든요. 저도 들은 적이 있는데 그때 이제 아레나 대회에 신청을 하고 취소를 하게 되면은 그게 위배가 된다고 그러더라고요. 옛날에 와우. 그래서 아무나 신청 가능했지만 중간에 뭐 안 하거나 뭐 e스포츠에서 신청을 하고 안 나오거나 이러면은 위배가 된다고 그런 게 그런 말이 있었어요. 저도 옛날에 와우 그 쐐기대회 쐐기가 아니라 그 PVP 5인 뭐 5대5나 3대3 그거 그때 그게 규정이 있었어요. 그때 제가 리븐데였나 5대5 저기 PK 그 대회가 신청을 하려고 해봤는데 대회 규정이 꽤 있더라고요. 신청을 하고 취소하면은 뭐 위배가 된다. 위협금이
It's a fallen stone ramp. They head over on this upside down archway into the chess room here. Now they are at 89%. Chess does give 7% if I'm not mistaken, so they will clean up their last 4% by kind of U-turning and heading out of this room once they're done with the chess event to clean up the last 2 bats, while likely the healer will go and start the RP event for Fizzadoom.
그러니까 저렇게 4명이라도 억지로 나온 거겠죠. 솔직히 북미고 그러니까 저런 팀들이 솔직히 북미에서 활동을 하고 있을 거 아닙니까? 뭐 레이드나 빌드가 있을 거니까. 그런데 저렇게 저런 솔직히 안 나오고 그한다고 솔직히 많이 욕도 얻어먹을 거고 솔직히 저렇게라도 나와서 해야 되겠죠. 안쓰럽네요. 솔직히
I mean, the team's looking more composed now. It's really night and day between now and what we saw earlier in the dungeon as they're finishing off that last night.
이 팀 중 한 명이
Now about
리메이크를 해야 됩니다.
45%.
말도 안
As you
됩니다.
said,
이
Jack,
경기를
once
또
he hits that 30%
누구라고
mark, he will not regain that invulnerability shield. Players just need to make sure to obviously dodge the bright, shiny squares that
또
pop
이제
up from a lot of these mobs.
미국식 유머예요.
And the shadow
얼마나
ones as
많은
well.
와이프들이 그들에게
We
전화를
tried to
했을까.
avoid those. The bishop goes down again on the side. King should be going down in a moment after we'll likely see the moon marker, the holy paladin, as we do see going off, starting that RP event.
지금 채팅창에 이런 식으로 나옵니다. 이 경기 능력이 보면 유럽이 제일 1순위, 그다음 한국이 그다음에 뭐 기타, 그다음에 미국은 저 끝으로 이렇게 해놨는데 채팅창에는 사람들이 유럽 1순위 그 경기를 줘. 그다음에 한국팀, 그다음 호주팀, 그다음에 뭐 기타팀, 그다음에 저기 독일팀 이렇게 쓰는 제가 봐도 그래요. 솔직히 한국팀이 운이 너무 없었어요. 왜냐면 한국팀은 지금 아시아 태평양 같은 경우는 호주팀이 거의 6팀이고요. 한국팀 2팀밖에 안 돼요. 한국팀 신청한 것도 그렇지 그게 좀 적었어요. 그렇지만 한국팀이 진짜 아주 센 팀들하고만 붙었어요. 운도 안 나빴어요. 왜냐면 한국팀은 호주팀이 재경기를 계속하는 바람에 이겼던 경기들 내줘야 됐었어요. 그 재경기가 졌어요. 그럼 운이 뭐 실력이 그것도 실력이지 않아 있겠지만 솔직히 그것도 억울하죠. 억울하죠. 고인물 같은 경우 그랬어요. 고인물 같은 경우 있고 뭐 BTS 팀도 한 경기가 좀 애매했고요. 고물팀 같은 경우 솔직히 다 이겨놓은 경기를 내줬어요. 자, 지금 보시면 제가 저 풍문이 죽었잖아요. 풍문이 죽었잖아요. 제가 저렇게가 죽었어. 나는 대상자라서 진짜 빨리 피하려고 미리 나갔는데 가는 길에 지금 딱 나오는 거야. 그래가 아니 한 대 맞고라도 살아야 되는데 한 대 맞자마자 죽는 거야. 22단에 21단에 지금 풍문처럼 저렇게 죽었어. 그것도 한두 번이 아니야. 진짜 어마어마하게 한 3번 저렇게 죽었잖아. 세 번 죽어가지고 얼마나 쪽팔리든지. 와 진짜 아니 미리 나갔다니까. 미리 나가서 계속 뛰고 있었어. 계속 뛰고 있었는데 죽더라니까.
because the amount of debuffs that go out increase by 1 n+1 if you will for every ship as we go along and the space is really limited here. Now oftentimes healers will dispel one of them to try and offset the two explosions to give players more real estate
지금 빨리
to work with.
스토피 팀이 이걸 빨리 끝내줘야 됩니다. 상대 팀을 위해서라도 빨리 끝내줘야 돼요. 지금 이러고 빨리빨리 가서 파열 피해야 되고 신킹팀은 저걸 못 끝내요. 못 끝냅니다. 22단 4명에서 못 끝내요. 자 2패에 블루더를 켰죠. 스토피 팀 같은 경우 원래 일반전 통상적으로 칼을 설정해서 자 2패 때 블루더를 킵니다.
before they do expire and they do deal quite a heavy amount of ticking damage. But if you're able to push the boss quickly enough, as it looks like they are going to be able to do here, if you're able to push the boss quickly enough, you can just jump into the demonic portal.
바닥을 피해야 되고요.
Damage, as of course those effects will expire and the orbs will go out.
자 부채가 터지겠죠 이제. 부채 안 터지고 바로 3패로 넘어가는 블루더 써서.
We'll see both of them actually expending their orbs, coming out very soon here. They'll just be flying in the air and not actually bothering anybody.
So I'm not
보통
surprised really to
32%까지
see
30%대까지
the being used on that second ship. It's arguably
좀 더 딜을
probably
할 수
the
있거든요.
hardest phase of the boss. It's a bit easier here as the boss does have a very long cast with these extra Fel Lord adds. We do have the added effects of the Bat Guano kind of splashing on the players right now as we see Need get hit there and splash onto the tank too. So players need to spread out just a bit for all those Fel Bats flying around. Excuse me. The sentries will spawn periodically from some portals near the boss, and if you fail to do this interrupt on this very fast cast, then there will be a huge amount of demons that pour out, but should be no problem for them. And most of the boss's health is gone by the time you actually engage the mechanics of the phase. Now, Jack, if we start to hit that kind of triple chaos orb debuff,
참조입니다. 신기팀이 어떻게 4명밖에 없습니다. 잠수했어요. 잠수요. 잠수요.
AMS, all the different immunities possible there. To be able to actually only get one, so at that point, Neeb is just able to run out of the group.
정확하게 사연은 모르겠습니다. 제가 뭐 캐스트들 얘기하는 거 알아서
clean play at the very end of the instance here by stupid mistakes. But going forward into the following games, they really need to make sure.
이런 농담도 합니다. 다섯 번째 선수가 PC 암호를 잊어버려서 컴퓨터 다시 설치했는데 포맷을 해서 다시 설치했는데 아직도 설치하고 있다. 이런 식으로 농담.